President Donald Trump placed high new tariffs on Canadian imports earlier this month, escalating tensions between the two countries. He explained the decision by expressing worries about illegal immigration and the escalating fentanyl issue in the United States. As part of the program, all Canadian imports would incur a 25% tariff, while energy items would be taxed at a somewhat lower rate of 10%, with both going into effect on February 4, 2025. Canada had no time in reacting. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau responded with a 25% levy on $30 billion in American products, including beer, whiskey, fruit juices, clothes, sports equipment, and household appliances. But it was only the beginning. He cautioned that following a public review period, the duties might be increased to include an additional $125 billion in U.S. imports. Just when the situation appeared to be worsening, a breakthrough occurred. Following high-stakes negotiations, Trump and Trudeau decided to postpone tariffs for 30 days. In exchange, Canada agreed to tighten border security by appointing a fentanyl czar and forming a collaborative task force to combat drug smuggling. While the short hiatus provided some comfort, emotions in Canada were divided. Some regarded it as a necessary compromise, while others were concerned that it would not avert long-term economic damage. Despite the delay, fears remained strong. Economists cautioned that if the tariffs went into force, they might raise consumer prices, disrupt supply networks, and put a strain on the two nations' historically robust trading relationship. This rising uncertainty prompted Canada to explore for new trade prospects, notably in Asia. Alberta, which is home to much of the country's oil and natural gas sector, has been devising a strategy to diversify its exports outside of the United States in order to avoid over-reliance on one market. Japan, which has rising energy demands, became a key focus. To accelerate this change, Trudeau convened an economic conference, bringing together corporate executives, policy experts, and labor organizations to debate how to minimize Canada's reliance on U.S. trade. Part of the strategy includes increasing internal trade and reviewing previously abandoned energy projects to make it simpler for Canada to sell oil and gas to foreign markets. At the same time, public opinion made a significant shift. Recent research revealed that 90% of Canadians now support reduced economic dependency on the United States, a considerable increase from before the tariff threat arose. Meanwhile, Canadian firms began to adapt to the changing commercial scene. Suncor Energy, one of the country's top oil producers, informed investors that it was better prepared than others to deal with prospective U.S. tariffs. Unlike competitors that rely almost completely on exporting oil to the United States, Suncor can send much of its production to British Columbia's coast via the Trans Mountain Pipeline, allowing it to reach global markets rather than only American buyers. Even with these attempts, Canada's profound economic links with the United States will be difficult to disentangle. For decades, America has been Canada's primary consumer for oil and gas, influencing the country's trade policies and energy objectives. Now, with tariffs coming, Canada is being forced to reconsider its whole economic strategy. Before we continue, I'd want to ask you a question. Do you believe the United States is being too hard on Canada? Tell us what you think in the comments section below. Let's proceed. For years, Canada has relied largely on the United States to purchase its oil and natural gas, with almost all of its crude exports going south of the border. Alberta, the country's oil superpower, has been at the forefront of this commerce, providing the majority of the gasoline. In 2022 alone, Canada transported $22.4 billion in natural gas to the United States, demonstrating how closely intertwined the two nations are in terms of energy. However, this level of dependency is not without risk. Recently, the United States has hinted at increased taxes on Canadian energy goods, causing alarm in Canada's energy sector. The prospect of rising tariffs on oil and gas exports has pushed Canadian politicians to reconsider their trade policy and seek new clients outside of North America. With tensions growing, Canada has been looking to Asia, particularly Japan, as a possible alternative market. The Asia-Pacific region's energy demand is increasing, and Japan, as one of the world's top purchasers of liquefied natural gas, LNG, is always looking for new supplies. In 2023, Japan purchased over 66 million tons of LNG, ranking second only to China. While the UK has shifted toward nuclear and renewable energy, electricity demand is likely to climb as data centers and other energy-intensive businesses expand. If cleaner options such as hydrogen and ammonia do not scale up quickly enough, Japan's LNG consumption is expected to rise further, providing a chance for Canada to step in. Compared to other major LNG exporters, Canada has a distinct edge. Its west coast is substantially closer to Japan than the United States Gulf Coast. A cargo from Vancouver to Tokyo takes roughly 11 days, but gas from the United States frequently needs to pass via the Panama Canal, adding time, expense, and logistical challenges. Furthermore, Canada's LNG is known to be 40% less carbon-intensive than U.S. LNG, making it a more appealing alternative for countries seeking to reduce emissions. Recognizing this possibility, Alberta's Minister of Environments and Protected Areas, Rebecca Schultz, has been actively pursuing energy cooperation with Japan. During a recent trip to Tokyo, she met with major industry stakeholders, including JERA, Japan's largest LNG purchaser. Schultz visited the Futsu thermal power station and LNG intake facilities and discussed how Alberta may assist in ensuring Japan's future energy supply. She also met with officials from the Japan Gas Association, which manages the country's gas distribution, and executives from JOGMEC, Japan Oil, Gas and Metals National Corporation, which is in charge of guaranteeing steady energy imports. These conversations focused on investment potential in Alberta's developing LNG sector, as well as ways for both nations to improve their energy collaboration. At the heart of this relationship is LNG Canada, a gigantic export facility under construction in Kitimat, British Columbia. The $40 billion price tag makes it the greatest energy investment in Canadian history. The project, which is supported by energy majors such as Shell, Petronas, PetroChina, Mitsubishi, and Kogas, will process and export natural gas from British Columbia's Montigny Formation. When fully operational in mid-2025, it will generate 14 million tons of LNG per year, with plans to quadruple output in a second phase. Japanese corporations are already heavily involved. Mitsubishi owns 15% of LNG Canada, demonstrating how essential this collaboration is for Japan's energy security. As Canada's infrastructure construction accelerates, British Columbia is poised to become a major LNG export center, serving not only Japan, but also other energy-hungry Asian and global markets. The location for this gigantic project was not picked by luck. Kitimat, British Columbia, has everything necessary for successful LNG exports. An industrial-friendly zone, a deep-water port that is ice-free year-round, and existing infrastructure that facilitates gas shipping to Asian markets. Construction is going quickly, with almost 95% of the first phase currently done. If all goes as planned, the first cargo of Canadian LNG will leave in mid-2025, marking a big step toward Canada's status as a key participant in international energy exports. While this large-scale initiative has attracted notice, it is not the only one creating waves. A smaller but equally vital facility is taking shape in Squamish, British Columbia. This wood fiber LNG project, located on the site of an ancient pulp mill, takes a unique method. It focuses on sustainability. Unlike regular LNG facilities, this facility will run on electricity, considerably reducing emissions. It is also a collaborative initiative with the Squamish tribe, ensuring that cultural and environmental issues are addressed from the bottom up. Working closely with Indigenous partners, the project has acquired great community support, establishing itself as an example for ethical energy development. Meanwhile, another breakthrough venture is taking shape in Kitimat, but this one is special. Cedar LNG, a project managed by the Haisla Nation, is breaking new ground as an Indigenous-driven energy enterprise. In collaboration with private sector investors, the objective is to construct a plant capable of exporting 3 million tons of LNG per year, while also providing long-term economic advantages to the local population. Cedar LNG is also pushing the limits of green energy, using low-emission technology and electrification to lower its carbon impact. The project is projected to run effectively due to its proximity to existing energy infrastructure, with first exports scheduled for late 2028, subject to final clearances. Another large-scale LNG project is being developed further north. Kisilisium's LNG, created in collaboration with the Nisga'a Nation, is expected to be one of Canada's largest LNG projects. This plant, located in Gingolks, British Columbia, will be distinguished by its floating LNG technology, which will enable more flexible and efficient natural gas processing and export. With a projected 12 million tons of LNG produced each year, Kisilisium's LNG is poised to play a significant part in Canada's expanding energy industry. But scale isn't the only thing that distinguishes this endeavor. Environmental responsibility is a primary priority. The plant will be fueled by hydroelectric energy, making it one of the world's low-carbon LNG producers. If all goes as planned, operations might start between 2027 and 2030, increasing Canada's total LNG export capacity and enhancing its position in international energy markets. One important benefit that all of these projects have is their location. Being on Canada's west coast allows for substantially faster shipping routes to Asia, notably Japan, compared to LNG plants in the United States Gulf Coast, which sometimes need longer transit times and costly passage via the Panama Canal. By reducing travel time and expenditures, Canadian LNG exporters are positioning themselves as strong worldwide rivals. Beyond energy, Canada and Japan have developed a strong trading connection over the years. As of 2023, Japan was Canada's fourth largest trading partner, with bilateral trade of 36.5 billion Canadian dollars. Canada's exports to Japan reached 15.8 billion Canadian dollars, while imports from Japan were worth 20.7 billion Canadian dollars. This commercial alliance is bolstered by accords like the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Alliance, CPTPP, which has helped remove trade obstacles and increase market access between the two countries. With Canada's LNG business gaining traction, Japan's increasing energy demands, and robust trade agreements in place, both nations are well-positioned to strengthen their economic connections in the coming years. Trade between Canada and Japan is carefully balanced, with each country playing to its strengths. While Canada provides abundant natural resources and agricultural commodities, Japan reciprocates with cutting-edge technology, automobiles, and electronics. This two-way movement connects both economies and helps them to assist each other's sectors. Japan is increasingly concerned with energy security, and Canada is swiftly developing as a dependable source of liquefied natural gas, LNG, coal, and propane. These fuels power everything from Japanese households to large industrial complexes. Canadian metallurgical coal, a critical component in steel manufacture, is likewise in great demand, ensuring that Japan's construction and manufacturing industries have the minerals they require. Aside from energy, agriculture plays an important role in this trading partnership. Canada is the world's largest producer of canola, and Japan is a major customer, utilizing it in cooking oils and food production. Wheat, soybeans, pork, and beef from Canada also contribute to Japan's food supply, and strong quality control systems ensure that these items satisfy Japan's high standards. However, it is not limited to food and fuel. Canada's natural richness, including copper, nickel, and iron ore, flows directly into Japan's high-tech sectors, which underpin everything from electronics to automobile production. Pharmaceuticals and forest products are also sent across the Pacific, diversifying Canada's exports. While Canada provides the raw ingredients, Japan furnishes the completed goods. Cars, trucks, and automotive components are among Japan's top exports to Canada, with businesses such as Toyota, Honda, and Nissan not only shipping, but also manufacturing automobiles inside Canada's borders. Beyond autos, Japan's exports include industrial machinery, innovative medical gadgets, and scientific instruments, which provide cutting-edge technology to Canada's hospitals, industries, and research laboratories. This economic tie has been growing for almost a century. In the early 1900s, both countries saw the potential for commerce and began trading commodities such as lumber, seafood, and manufactured items. During this period, Japanese immigrants began to arrive in Canada, adding to the country's cultural richness, but also suffering severe problems such as discrimination. World War II caused a terrible upheaval in this connection. As friends on opposite sides, Canada and Japan found themselves in direct confrontation, causing long-term damage to their diplomatic and economic connections. One of the saddest events was the internment of Japanese Canadians, which saw thousands forcefully taken from their homes, incarcerated, and deprived of their possessions in the name of national security. The consequences of these actions remained for decades, impacting reconciliation attempts and defining how both countries moved ahead. Following the war, Canada and Japan began to repair their relationship, overcoming a difficult chapter in history to develop a new path based on collaboration and mutual respect. In Canada, the government finally acknowledged the abuse of Japanese Canadians, making official apologies and implementing compensation programs beginning in the late 1980s. Meanwhile, Japan concentrated on rebuilding its economy and becoming a modern democracy, creating the framework for deeper international collaboration, especially with Canada. As the decades passed, commerce between the two countries increased dramatically. Japan's fast economic and technical progress following World War II opened up new prospects for Canada, notably in the delivery of natural resources. Over time, Canada became a significant exporter of energy, minerals, and agricultural products to Japan, while Japan became a major provider of vehicles, machinery, and advanced technologies. According to Global Affairs Canada, by 2021, the total value of goods traded between the two countries will be 19.1 billion Canadian dollars, with Canada exporting around 8.1 billion Canadian dollars and buying approximately 11 billion Canadian dollars from Japan. Beyond trade, direct investment between the two countries has steadily increased. In 2021, Japanese corporations invested around 1.4 billion Canadian dollars in numerous industries across Canada, with a focus on automotive, technology, and energy. At the same time, Canadian investment in Japan totaled 0.8 billion Canadian dollars, indicating a rising interest in the Japanese market. Cultural and educational linkages have grown alongside economic relations. Today, over 50,000 Canadians of Japanese heritage contribute to the country's varied scene, and cultural interactions between the two countries continue to flourish. These connections, whether intellectual, artistic, or tourism-related, contribute to developing mutual understanding. In 2019, over 300,000 Canadians visited Japan, lured by its rich history, exciting festivals, and rising commercial prospects. In recent years, the cooperation has grown even stronger. Trade between the two nations has been continuously increasing by 3 to 5% every year, with total trade volumes expected to reach over 20 billion Canadian dollars by 2022. Japanese corporations continue to play a significant role in Canada's automotive, energy, and technology industries, while Canada remains an important exporter of natural resources, agricultural goods, and renewable energy solutions to Japan. The relationship goes beyond business and includes cutting-edge advances in biotechnology, sustainable energy, and information technology. Both countries are engaging in collaborative initiatives that not only promote economic growth, but also address major global issues like climate change, cybersecurity, and sustainable development. On the political scene, Canada and Japan frequently collaborate in global organizations such as the United Nations, the Group of Seven, and the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation, APEC. Their common dedication to democracy, human rights, and economic stability has made them dependable allies in tackling global issues. Both governments are working to deepen ties through high-level diplomatic visits and frequent consultations, concentrating on problems such as supply chain security and regional stability in the Asia-Pacific. If you found this video interesting, please like and subscribe.